You hear people say it all the time. You can't win a championship through the portal. I'll tell you why they're wrong and why FSU is dangerously close to doing just that. Hey guys, thanks for coming to the channel. Thanks for hanging out and watching the video. Big shout out to our sponsor for this video, Garnet and Gold. You've got less than 2 weeks until Christmas. Make sure you're getting all of your FSU gear from the best FSU provider of clothing and sportswear out there. Save some money with No Slaw. That's NOSLAW at checkout. You'll get 15% off whether you're Christmas shopping, holiday shopping, or gearing up for the bowl game against Oklahoma in a couple of weeks. Garnet and Gold is your one-stop shop. Support them with No Slaw at checkout, NOSLAW, and they'll take 15% off your order. Appreciate them and their support. Let's talk about what FSU has done in the portal and explain why people are way off with this hot take you hear all the time. First of all, FSU's success in the portal has been pretty remarkable. They've maybe been the best team in the country over the last 2 years when it comes down to their hit rate and what they've gotten out of transfers. We don't really need to dive into it, but it's so good and you're an FSU fan, so you'll like hearing this. 10 of their 15 All-ACC selections this year were from the transfer portal. Here in 2022, their leading passer, rusher, and receiver all came from the portal. Their best offensive lineman came from the portal as well, and Gibbons. And their leader in tackles, sacks, and interceptions all came from the portal, you guessed it, as well. In 2021, all of that was true as well, except for their leading receiver, who was Pokey Wilson. Second, though, was Parchment. And so, again, the leaders on this team have come from the portal. Why are the Noles so successful in the portal? First of all, Mike and his staff are excellent talent evaluators. They do a remarkable job of understanding how guys can fit into the system and benefit them with not only their actions on, but off the field as well. When you look at guys like Gibbons and some of the guys that give back to the community as well. They get in on guys early. You hear it said all the time when guys end up picking FSU or when they're considering picking FSU, they always say, hey, Florida State was the first school to contact me. They do a remarkable job of getting out in front and taking the lead on some of these recruitments in the portal before other teams have even realized that a kid may be in there. And number three, at this point, they've proven it on the field. They've got 2 years worth of success stories to back up what they're selling to kids. And so that's been a big help for them as well. Look at what they've done with the roster. The roster primarily has been flipped through the portal. Look at the playmakers. Look at the difference makers. We talked about it earlier, but Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Wilson, Pittman, Gibbons, Emmanuel, Verse, Fabo, Bethune, Greedy Vance, Jammie Robinson, Kier Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, Jayshon Corbin. These guys have been the ones to turn this program around and take them from 3 to 5 to 9 or 10 wins. Pending the result on what this bowl is, it's going to be the transfers again that put FSU over the top and maybe double up last year's win total. Here's what people say. You can't build a champion through the portal. And they're somewhat right on that. We haven't seen it done. We haven't seen a team go as heavy into the portal as Florida State has and end up winning a championship. But the portal in its current status is relatively new. And though guys could always transfer, what they're basically saying is in the last 3 or 4 years, we've not seen a team go through the portal and win. Well, that's obvious, right? The portal is new. It takes some time, and there is some merit to what they're saying, but here's what I think they actually mean by that. I don't think you can consistently compete for titles by emphasizing the portal only. You can't keep hitting at the rate that Florida State is hitting, which is probably up around 80% on their portal takes. You can't just keep hitting over and over and over and over again. So you're probably right there. But it's, again, a new thing. And so just because something hasn't happened in that first 3 to 4 years of something doesn't mean that it can't happen at all. You can absolutely, though, go on an elite 1 to 2 year run through the portal. And Florida State's proof of that. The Noles had the 10th best offense in the country this year, and they nearly returned all of it in 2023. They've already begun adding key pieces like Jaheim Bell and other targets that they're very close to locking in. And they're going to add talented pieces through their recruiting class like Hakeem Williams and others. If Florida State is able to raise their 9-3 floor by just a game or two, they'll be in the mix for a title. And it's really early. We'll see what that 2023 schedule looks like as we get a little closer. But right now, on paper, it's probably a little bit easier than this 2022 schedule was. Miami's going to be down again. Florida, you do have to go on the road and play. I think you've closed the gap with Clemson based on your current roster right now. And you get LSU in Orlando as opposed to having to go play them in New Orleans. I also think that you've lost NC State off the schedule. Sam Hartman's probably not back to Wake Forest next year. And so I think you've got a really good chance to be competing for that ACC title. And if you're winning that ACC title at 12-1 or even 11-2, you're going to be a team that people talk about as having a legitimate shot for the playoffs. And there, it's anyone's ball game. So yes, you may not be able to compete year after year after year after year through the portal for titles, but can you make a nice 1 to 2 year run? Well, Florida State's proof that that can be done and should be done this year. We haven't seen a team compete for a title by focusing only on the portal, but FSU hasn't done that. They have been steadily improving on the recruiting front. They signed a top 20 class last year, and they'll probably sign about a top 15 class this year, and they'll crush it in the portal once again. Can they compete for it all next year with a portal-heavy roster? Time will tell, but I know this. Again, they're just a couple of ways from being very, very close to doing that. The biggest factor and the biggest reason for that is because they've been able to get guys with multiple years of eligibility left. And that's what has set Norvell's portal decisions apart from others. They've gotten guys like Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman and Tatum Bethune and Jared Verse, though he hasn't declared one way or the other just yet, has the eligibility to come back. Dillan Gibbons played 2 years in this roster. Trey Benson's going to have another year here at Florida State. And so by getting guys that they could get multiple years out of, that has set them up for potentially a special run in 2023. Not predicting we win the national title just yet, not going out on the limb and even saying we're in the playoff. But I do expect Florida State to compete for the ACC, and if they win the ACC, they'll be talked about as a playoff team. You get in that Final Four, anything can happen, and they're going to have primarily done it through the transfer portal. I just don't buy the adage that you can't do it. It's early. We'll see if it can be done here sooner rather than later with FSU. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to talk about this. If you agree, great. If you disagree, great. Let's talk about it a little bit in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Got a lot of big recruiting news coming up with visits and things this weekend. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Go Noles.